This is going to be a nose demonstration. So I'm going to use this picture right here next to my sketchbook as my reference photo. You can use whichever reference photo you want when you do yours. But we're going to do a fully rendered nose. Again, rendered means fully shaded realistically and with detail. Rendered like rendered it into real life, kind of, rendered. So first we're gonna kind of just take a look at the nose to break it down. First we're gonna kind of see the planes of the nose. This bottom plane, the top plane right here, and then the two side planes of the nose. We can see that this one is lit from the right side, so the right plane of the nose right here is lighter. This very top is pretty much the lightest plane, kind of right on that ridge, but where those two planes intersect. And then this left side plane is much darker, but it's kind of a smooth transition across, so we're gonna keep our blended technique nice and smooth. And the bottom plane of the nose, where the nostrils are, is a little bit darker as well. Now, noses are a little bit more challenging than other facial features because they are more values than they are lines. The eye has these distinct outlines of the eye, in multiple places there's distinct edges. The nose is not like that. It's much more of a form, and the only distinct edges are kind of the edges of the nostrils. So it's more of a shading exercise than drawing necessarily, but we still want to do, get both of them right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the bottom line of the nose, right here where my mouse is kind of floating over. That bottom kind of point of the nose, and we're going to look at it and kind of trace that with our eyes. And we're going to draw that bottom part of the nose. We're going to sketch it out. We're not going to, nice and light, not too harshly. We're going to kind of sketch that out and see if that's about the right angle. We're going to check back with our picture. Could maybe even go up a little bit farther with the nostrils. And I'm going to, kind of wrap those around where those nostrils are going to be. Okay? The next edge I'm going to make is the outside edge of each nostril. Okay, that's kind of the last line. And both of the outside edges, they kind of just go around the inside edge. Kind of nice and simple with some distance, okay? The angle at which those nostrils curve up is kind of different on every human. That's what helps make people look distinct. So I can tell in my picture that it kind of goes after it hits line level with the nostril. It curves a little less and then goes more vertical. So I'm going to kind of curve up and then go more vertical like that. Remember, I'm going to keep sketching nice and light. I'm not going to commit to a line that's incorrect, so I can adjust things as I go. And then I'm just going to kind of leave that really nice and light. She's got that nose ring. We can kind of put that in if we want. But that side's nice and light where her nose ring is. So, then we're going to go ahead and take the darkest areas and block them in. So where her nostrils are, we're going to go ahead and block those in. And then follow that shading out and around those nostrils. See how that kind of curves around and down on both sides? We're going to go ahead and do that shading. We're going to do nice, tiny circles, okay? You don't want to do harsh things, tiny, tiny circles, okay? Now I can also see that her nose is darker on this side, so I'm going to, with very, very light pencil pressure, I'm going to follow the shadow that's kind of on the tip of her nose and around on this side of her nostril. Looks like we've got a little reflected highlight right there up to the nostril, so we're going to match that reflected highlight there. Around the edge of the nose is really going to be the defining shadow, so more so than actually drawing the physical part of the nose. Drawing this shadow on the cheek is really what's going to actually kind of give us the hint of the nose, okay? Remember, it's a form, not distinct edges and lines, so we want to get the shadows in there correctly. Okay, that kind of shadow from the tip kind of blends in down on her lip. Shadow right here. And I blend those out a little bit, okay? Now that kind of continues all the way up. Try and do this without getting my hand in the way too much. Try and do things quick so these videos don't take forever, but I am a slow worker if I want things done correctly. And I'm worried that if I rush, and so will you. So take your time, no rushing. Okay, nice and easy blended technique. Remember, every time you're working on art, you can get better in every aspect of the practice. So I want you working on pencil pressure as well, working on control of the pencil as we're kind of blocking out these values. So this left side of the nose gets darker than the right side. The right side is pretty much all highlight. We're going to kind of put a line down the center of the nose. Okay, that biggest highlight is right on this side. Kind of put some of those directional lines, just a few, so we can kind of see where that's going to be. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and push the values. So I'm going to make those mid-tone values that I laid in a little bit darker. I move over here. Get some of these values going. That was a little dark, so I'm going to lighten it up. I'm going to just tap with my eraser rather than like smearing, because I don't want to smear it. I just want to lighten it up a little bit. Okay, that's a good way to do that. Okay, she's got a little bit more of a shadow right here on her nose. See how it kind of comes out where there's a little bit of a, this is like the ball of her nose. We're going to have that shadow kind of come out as well onto the nose. Darker in that shadow where she has, where the corner of her eye would be. We would connect this to the shadow from the eye part as well, as you'll remember from that video. Oh, it's my dog barking at probably stranger walking by. My dog's kind of a cat. She barks at everything and is afraid of everything, like walls. She's very weird. I don't know who she gets it from, probably me. Go ahead and add a little bit of the shading of the Cupid's bow so it's more defined down here. Cupid's bow is that the little crease that we all have between our lip and our nose. So then that nose is kind of starting to come to life, right? Now this shadow kind of made a little too close in. I feel like it needs to go up a little bit. And then it's not really in our picture too much, but so it gives you guys a better idea. Instead of a floating nose, you know, coming off on one side of my paper, I'll just put a little bit of shadow on here for the sake of our drawing. You can do that as well. That kind of line coming out from the side of her that follows her mouth down there. That's kind of what that shadow is going to be. Kind of making that nose that shape. Notice a lot of it is the shading kind of around the nose, because typically front of our noses have a little bit of a highlight. And that's about that.